Welcome to the Play-Based Learning Podcast. I'm your host, Kristen R.B. Peterson, and maybe your new teacher bestie that is here to hype you up, maybe give you a motivating kick in the pants, and teach you all I know about play and childhood. I am here to help you challenge old and outdated practices and inspire you to create a truly developmentally appropriate early childhood environment that fosters creativity, curiosity, and joy in the children that you care for. Let's set the stage for a lifelong love of learning. Let's get going. I have Jennifer Baumann on the podcast today. She, if you are a TikToker, is, maybe have seen some of her amazing videos, is Play School since 1999 on TikTok and Instagram and Facebook. Welcome, Jennifer.
Hello, thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Absolutely. So I have obviously creeped on your TikTok and Instagram. And one of the things that I love seeing so much is that you do so much sensory play. You do so much messy play. You do so many different invitations for the children when they come into play. So one of the things that I saw the other day that I was like, this is brilliant. You had this, it must have been one of those vintage coffee tables that's got the little, almost like a little railing around the thing.
Yep.
And then you just had a sensory, a Rubbermaid tote, like an under the bed tote sitting on it. What was inside it?
We just had, it was salt, which I just thought it looked like snow, and I had it on hand because I make Play-Doh all the time.
Yeah.
So added some salt for snow, added some, I happened to be thrifting and found some of those acrylic ice cubes that you fill bases with for real cheap. So I threw those in there because I thought in my mind they would, maybe stack them, make igloos. That hasn't happened yet, but we build with them, but not that specifically.
Right. Our plans are never as good as theirs.
Pom-poms, and I think I had some blue poker chips that I had gotten from the Dollar Tree, and just added some things that whenever I do a sensory tray, I also add items in it that are tools from our family style dining, so that's practice for them to do things. So our tools that we use for tongs to move things, and bowls to put in there that they serve with, so that they have that practice that when they're doing the things. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
Okay, so tell us a little bit about your program.
I myself have been in the field for 26 years. I started purely out of necessity, I guess is what you would call it. I had 3 children of my own, and I needed to figure out how to put them in childcare and afford it, and that wasn't happening. And I just happened to start with a neighbor. So I'm one of those friends, family, neighbor people that started, and I took care of her little one for a little while. And when we moved into our house, I thought, I'll give it a whirl and see where it goes. And I just had such good feedback from my parents that I was very happy to want to continue doing it. I wasn't wanting to go look for a job anymore. But because of that and that respect that they had for me, I really wanted to dig in and make sure that I was doing what I was supposed to be doing. Well, sadly, back then, it was a very teacher-based direction and instruction that everybody was telling you to do. So for several years, that's what I did, and that's what I felt quality was. And thankfully, around about 2011, I ran into some very wonderful play-based child-led program that came to Nebraska and did some trainings, and I fell in love with play-based and always loved child development. So it just kind of took a whirlwind spin, and it's gone crazy.
Who was it that you saw?
Jeff Johnson was the first person that I saw. And then shortly after that, a friend of mine, it's a fellow colleague, we saw Lisa Murphy in Casper, Wyoming. And then we turned around and invited her and Jeff, and then we ran into Danita Dinger. So they're my trifecta. They are the 3 that I started and learned with. And
same.
They're my link to Bev Boz, I'm not sure how she says her last name. But yeah, I would not have known who that was had it not been for them.
Same.
And then starting to go and finding all the people, and you were another one that came across my page, and we got you to come to the Panhandle of Nebraska, and so exciting to have you.
And we got to meet in person.
Yes, we did.
Yeah.
Somebody sent me your page one time. Oh, you need to follow her. I'm like, I already do. I know her. Put a little picture of the 2 of us.
I love that. Jeff, Danita, and Lisa is who I saw first, and then found Jeff and then Danita through Lisa Murphy. So same.
And I thought they were
Wow.
crazy. I literally thought, who on earth is going to let their children do this? Who on earth is going to
Yeah.
want to bring their kids to my program when there's all this chaos? But I slowly, piece by piece, took things that I did like, and then all of a sudden, I'm just like they are as far as the day to
Absolutely.
day.
And we now know it's not chaos.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's learning.
Mhm.
And sometimes learning just makes adults uncomfortable
Yes.
because it's loud
And
and it's
that's
messy
a
and it's
lot of what
big.
I really stress on sharing on my page and my social media platforms is it's adult anxiety. It's our issues
Yeah.
that are the problem with that getting ready for school. It's not about them. It's about us. So we need to
Yeah.
figure out how to get away from that fear and let the littles be littles and kind of give them that childhood that they really do deserve.
Absolutely. What are some things that you've done to let go of, like, how do you or how did you um start to like settle in and say yes more to opportunities for the children, even when
You
it made you feel uncomfortable?
You really do need to start baby steps because you can't just go full bore because you will lose your mind. You got to figure out how to deal with the stuff on the floor and making sure things are still safe and all that. So you just doing baby steps. I really started with a lot of loose parts. That was
Yeah.
where I went to. Those baskets, the heuristic baskets, so that the children could play with them and have them for the infants. And I have a mixed age group with family homes, so everything is out for everybody all the time. So I have
Yeah.
to be really careful to make sure that things that are smaller are kept in an area where the older children can go off and play with them. But everything that's out and about is something that anybody can put their hands on and interact with and engage with. So doing that really helped me. I still remember I had a licensed specialist come in and she's like, do you need a grant form for some toys? And I'm like, actually, no, I don't. Thank you very much.
No.
And Jeff
No.
Johnson was coming to our next conference, and I said, you really need to come to the conference and see the training. You'll understand more. And she's like, thank you, because she came to the
Yeah.
conference and she was like, I get it now. So that was kind of a
Yay.
blessing. But
Oh
yeah,
my
just
goodness.
slow. And then one of the things that always sticks with me with Danita Dinger is making sure that you put stuff out that it doesn't have to have rhyme or reason. It doesn't got to be pretty.
Yeah.
That Pinterest perfect, it's not necessary. So putting things out and just letting them figure out what they do. When I go thrifting, I've really tried to throw that thought on my mind of what are they going to do with it? Because they
Yeah.
don't ever do what I want them to do with it anyway. So I don't know why I even bother thinking. So,
Exactly.
and they do better. They do better things, and they nothing has a home. I mean, it might have a place where it's housed, but it doesn't have to stay there. They can take
Oh, I
things
like
throughout
that.
our entire program and outdoors.
I think that's so important. So many adults want control over where things are and where they can and they can't be. I don't know where that comes from. I actually just Googled, like, a half an hour before we got on to record this, that I was looking for like a psychology book on adult, like, control and power, and like why it is so many people need that in their life to control other people and all of the things within them. But I haven't really found anything like.
Well, and it's just like anything else when you look at relationships. You look at, all the books out there for adults and dating and everything, is the more you try to suck into somebody and try to run what they're doing, the more they run off that balance
Yeah.
bear, the teeter-totter with you and set everything off balance. You got to just give everybody their space and let them do what they need to, and eventually you get in rhythm with one another. So
Absolutely. Okay, so you have a in-home family
in home.
childcare.
Mhm.
Walk me through the morning when you're setting up for play. Like, what goes through your brain? Do you set anything up before the kids get there? Or do you just let them do what they do when they come in?
It just depends. Like when they came back after Christmas, I knew where they were kind of at, but they'd been gone for a few weeks, so you
Mhm.
don't know what they're doing or what they've been experiencing through the holidays. So I just kind of kept some things out that were a little familiar and just put a couple of new things out for them. Because typically what I do is I observe how they're playing and what they're interested in, and then I start collecting or find in my hordes of things the stuff that they're needing, and I put those things out with stuff that's already out there. For example, I've got little ones right now that are really into the trucks and dump trucks and things like that.
Mm.
And aluminum cans. I've got a safety cutter on my cans, and I took all the lids off, and they're out there, and they're with the magnetiles and these chunky magnet sticks and things like that. And the next thing I know, I saw him. He had grabbed all those and put them over by the trucks, and he was loading them up into the loader and lifting them up, and he was going through that process of problem solving because some would fit and some wouldn't, and then
Mhm.
he'd stack the others on the side. So I mean, there's so much that's about watching what they do, knowing the child, what they're interested in. It's the same way stores get us into the stores. It's about that window dressing. You know, you get a
Yeah.
little bit to make them want to walk in the door and want to engage with whatever it is. But if they don't, you learn from that too, because that's just as much as important as that failure is what not to do. So
Yeah.
you knew what not to put out, and that didn't work, and maybe put it away for a little while, and then put it back out again, because it's just they'll learn to track it together
Yeah.
and connect the things.
One of the things that I love that Danita teaches is called plopping.
Oh
So like
yes.
you just plop something into there
It
and
don't
plop
have to
it
be
on the
pretty, just put
table.
it out.
Put it out. You don't need to have any expectation about what's going to happen with those materials, and you just let the children explore freely
Absolutely.
with those materials. And the best learning happens when we plop.
Yep.
Um, okay, I love what you said about um, the window dressing, the
Hmm.
window shopping, because we noticed that at Butterfly Hill when I opened up the program founded. Um, I don't know if you can hear that, but my dog is squeaking his toy in the background. Of course, that would
Too
happen while
cute.
I'm recording, right?
I'm surprised
Um,
mine aren't raising heck.
we're human. We live in houses just like everybody else. um, So the window shopping. So we noticed Butterfly Hill, we didn't want like any of our ideas for the children for like process art, let's say, for example. We didn't want any of our ideas to be placed on them or in their environment. So we just didn't put anything on the tables at all to start. But we noticed that the children wouldn't actually go over to the shelves and take anything off the shelves either. So it was just like an ignored area. And then finally we were just like, let's just set a few things on the table. It doesn't even have to go together. Let's just set some stuff out and let them, and maybe they'll gravitate over. And they did. And that is how we've done it every single day since then, is just take some materials off the shelf, doesn't matter what it is, and set it on the table, and the children will create. And sometimes there's new things and sometimes there's not. So I love how you described that, because
I
that's,
mean, it's just like anything else. If it's not interesting to you, you're not going to walk in the store. If it's not interesting to them, they're not going to engage with it. They're going to move on to the next pile of whatever it is, or a corner, and interact with those materials. So, but
mm,
yeah, I think with like where you said that it was all on the shelves. A lot of times kids have been told no so many times that they can't do certain things, or they can't play with things, or they can't drag everything out. I don't do that. I let them get whatever they need, and they know that, just before lunchtime, we've got to make sure that we're making the area safe, put things away, and then we get our cots out, because we still have to have room to be able to lay
yeah,
down and sleep and whatnot after lunch. So they just know the routine, and they know that, if we get it out, we'll pay for it eventually.
absolutely. One, you mentioned you have different ages, right? That's what happens with family childcare, with day homes or play schools or whatever we want to call it. Everybody uses a different term around the world. What I get this question all the time, but how do you plan for multi ages so that everything is safe for everybody?
A lot of it is just buying the little bit bigger, a little bit chunkier. I don't have a lot of like Matchbox cars and things like that. Can you hear my dogs?
No, I can't.
Okay, good, because I can hear
No,
them.
no.
Matchbox cars and just different things that are a lot smaller. I do have those materials, but they're up and kept away. And so if we have quiet time, I do have a space in my program where I can pull a gate and allow the littles to be in that space. But I try not to let that happen, because that beauty of mixed age groups where they learn from each other is magnificent to observe. And
Yeah,
I don't want to take that away from anybody either. And they're having to learn how to deal with the littles in their own spaces at home if they have siblings, because that's in my program. It's most all of my children are brothers and sisters and whatnot. So uh, making sure that they can use the materials, and that it's safe for everybody in
yeah,
the space, is just basically the key to where and what I grab and put into the environment.
yeah. Okay, so I'm gonna ask a question that just because I'm on social media too, and I know what kind of questions get asked by people. So, like, let's say you had that bin out with all the salt in it, and
Mhm.
they see a 18-month-old wander over there in your video, and you've got people in the comments, or maybe even people listening to this, like, what if they put a handful of salt in their mouth? How would
Well,
you
actually, I
answer
got
that?
that comment because I did not know that actually salt is it a danger? But that's a part of that risk assessment and knowing how much something can hurt somebody and whatnot. But I found it very funny because when questions like that come up, I go down a rabbit hole. I
I
go
do
find
too.
all the research, find all the things, and do all that. And what it is it's actually the children that have died of that are because of an accident or out and out poisoning. The parents are poisoning the child or whoever the individual
With
is that's
salt?
pairing with. It was salt. The accident is they thought it was sugar, so they're putting something in something, which I don't know why you would put sugar or salt into a bottle, but
Mm.
be it as it may, that's what was happening. And some of the cases it sounded like it was like intravenously, like into like medical things, you know. So I mean, it was so far fetched and such a low amount over the not even just the nation, but
Yeah.
the world. It was like 34 cases over the entire world. And of those, there was nobody that was the toddler aged whatnot. It was all either accident or premeditated that it happened. And it's funny because as soon as I saw that, I was like, oh God, I'm going to take that out. And so, but then I did the research and
Right.
realized that that wasn't the case, that everything that we do is supervised too. So we don't allow them to just
Yeah.
eat. I've never understood taste safe sensory. I'm like, the whole point is that you don't want them to eat it. So why would you make something that's made out of Cheerios and let them
Yeah.
eat it? To me, that just never made any sense. So one little guy, he did pick some up and he put it in his mouth, and he could not fast enough, like blah, 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 spitting it out and spitting on the floor. I'm like, no, 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 no. So we got the rags and we helped pick it up and stuff like that. I'm like, yeah, we don't put that in our mouth, do we? That's gross. And he's like,
Mm.
ugh. I mean, it was so instantaneous too. I don't know how they could eat the 5 teaspoons that you would need to make it be a
Yeah.
hazard. So, but I probably wouldn't use it again. But to me, it was the same thing as putting it in the Play-Doh and all those things.
Well,
And
yeah.
that's another problem that I think a lot of people have is they put up roadblocks before they even know the information. They don't read their policies within their state and they take somebody's word for whatever it is. I know that was one of the things that Lisa Murphy always spoke so highly about is do you know that you can have that
Yeah.
water table and you can't have that water table because,
What page is that on, is what she
exactly.
says.
Question
Yeah.
them, make them show you. So I've really gotten into those kinds of things and just making sure that, what you're doing is right. And if you're wrong, you've learned from that. You moved on. Every time I do a
Exactly.
training with people, that's one of the things I start out with is I've been on this journey for a while. I've done all the things I'm going to be telling you that aren't necessarily child, developmentally appropriate. And so,
Yes.
so don't think I'm judging you. It's all a process and you learn. You don't know what you don't know. So was that
Until
Maya
you know what
Angelou
you know.
quote?
Right.
And Maya Angelou quote is when you know better, you do better.
Yes.
And so yeah,
Yes.
that's kind of where I base my life on is you just keep an open mind and keep moving forward.
Yes. Okay. One of the things that you said earlier is that you make Play-Doh a lot.
Mhm.
Do you do like fancy different Play-Doh recipes or you do basic?
I do a pretty basic one because I don't even heat the water. I just use
Oh,
hot
you
water out of the
don't?
sink. I just make the recipe and stir it up and usually sometimes give it to the kids. I have not done it yet, but I want to do the one. Bev has one where she literally was putting the ingredients on the table and just left it
And
and
let
just
them.
let them do all of it. And so that's my goal for the spring to put it on the table, the
Mm.
tough tray outside and let them slowly make it themselves and figure it out. So
Oh
but
my
yeah,
goodness.
no, we just kind of throw it on there. I sometimes will put some essential oils in and stuff like that,
Yeah.
or colors and whatnot, but nothing crazy. For me, it's more about what you add to it, the tools that they're getting. One of my favorite is the noodle maker, where you can put the
Yes.
stuff into it and they
Pasta
can roll up.
maker.
Yeah, the pasta maker. Thank you. Yes,
I love that
that
too.
that's wonderful.
Oh my
And
goodness.
stamps are wonderful on it too, that they can do all that.
Um,
Scissors, cutting. I mean, there's so many
yes.
endless possibilities when it comes to Play-Doh.
Oh my gosh. And is it the enveloping schema where I used to give children like big things and small things because they like to take the Play-Doh and cover other things
Mhm.
with the Play-Doh.
I've
So
even
like,
put it out where I've got the stuff in the Play-Doh. So
and
as
then they
they're
could break it
they're
open.
digging out things and like rescuing whatever it is. So
Absolutely. Butterfly Hill has a Play-Doh table. So Play-Doh is out every single day at Butterfly
That's
Hill, and we
awesome.
switch out the materials that are with the Play-Doh every week. So we'll add things or take things away.
Yeah.
We also don't like, we're not Play-Doh police. So like they
If
can
the
put the
color
Play-Doh,
gets mixed,
right.
oh
Let
well.
them mix the Play-Doh. Oh well.
It's on the
And
floor, oh well.
on the floor, yes. I have a little, when I was teaching there, we had a little girl who loved to press her face into the Play-Doh. And so she would just like put a big pile on the Play-Doh and then squish her whole entire face in there because she liked to see the print of her face in the Play-Doh.
That's awesome.
I know. Ah,
Yeah, feet print, handprints. I mean, everybody you see all at every holiday, all the printed, hand painted things with the handprints and footprints, and it just makes me cringe a little bit because it makes me sad because you're holding that child's hand steady to get it done and do all that stuff. It's like let them do handprints in the Play-Doh. Let them do step on the stuff and stomp and make their prints and whatnot. I've even seen where somebody took one of the long totes and put the oobleck in it and let them run
yeah.
across it. So, I mean, just doing those kinds of things and that experience of putting that in between your fingers and your toes and it's crazy. It's very soothing and
Yes.
self-regulating as well. Because I catch myself when they're playing and it just, taking my hand and just constantly fidgeting with whatever's in the Play-Doh or whatever's in the oobleck and whatnot.
Yes. One of the I was doing some, I don't even know where I came across this information, but I was doing some like teaching around just like coming in the morning. And I do a thing called morning check in with the kiddos at Butterfly Hill, or did. And another kind of like a research based thing to add to your spaces is ensuring that you have sensory opportunities available right when the children walk in the
Oh
morning,
yeah,
because it's so regulating for so many children. So that is one thing that like I've started to be very, I love to teach that now. Like make sure that you have those sensory materials ready for children, like Play-Doh or clay or things in the sensory table, or even just things to manipulate on the tables with their hands.
absolutely.
So important for self-regulation. What are, okay, so this is going to be kind of broad, but so you can take this as big as you want or as focused as you want. I want to know like your top 5 play invitations. And again, you can
Anything
take
with
that
water.
anything with water, okay?
Anything with water. One of our favorite ones is one I took from Montessori. I do a lot of picking and choosing for what works with me and the children
Absolutely,
that I
yes.
have at the time. And it was the where they pour the pitcher into a cup and then they dump it back and go back and forth. And they always had a little sponge there. So I kind of went big with it. I put all my pitchers out. I filled all the pitchers up. I put some water in the middle and then I cut up a bunch of sponges and just threw it on the table. Again, my adult mind was saying they're going to pour and they're going to use those sponges to clean up their mess. Yeah, right. No, the pitchers and all that kind of went to the wayside. They were still doing it back and forth, but it wasn't in the same way. They were more about pouring it into the tough tray, using the sponges, and then taking it and just squeezing the stuff and filling the cups up. So they were still getting what I was wanting to do, but they took it a step further and they used
Yeah.
that fine motor and doing that to build up the muscles in their hands. And to me, it was wonderful to see because it was just like, it's just another fact of showing that they just know more than we do. And
They
that
do.
their brain knows what to do. We need to learn to trust them.
Absolutely. Okay, so anything with water. What else?
Anything with water. Anything like I said, the Play-Doh and stuff like that. I
Yes.
love putting yarn out and things so that they could do lots of practice of cutting. We make sure we have lots of things for them to cut so that we don't ever have those accidents of, knock on wood, cutting any hair or
Yep.
clothing or things like
Mm-hmm.
that. Gosh, what else? When we're outdoors, I love bubbles and mud. One of our biggest sensory tables is our mud kitchen outside, and it
Mm,
is just so much fun to see what they concoct and put
yes.
together. Sidewalk chalk is another one the children really love. It's so funny. I had it was our observation for Step Up to Quality in our state, and they were watching the children play outside, and some of the kids were taking mallets that we have outside and were banging the chalk into dust,
Oh,
which in my mind was great.
yes.
They're that hand-eye coordination, problem solving, knowing what to do,
Yep.
spatial awareness of where to hit. They were nailing what they needed down. I didn't see where they were going with it, but I kind of had an idea because they had done it in the past. I had seen older siblings and whatnot do it. They took the stuff to the mud kitchen and sprinkled it on their cupcakes that they had made. So it was also creative arts.
Yeah.
I did not gain points for it because in the process of the observer seeing me, that was inappropriate use of art materials.
Are you
It's just like, okay,
serious?
well, you didn't stay with it. You didn't watch them and see where their brains took it, because had she seen that, she would have seen that it was definitely a creative arts activity because they took it over to the table. I've also had kids put water in it and turn around and use it as paint. I
Right.
mean, so yeah, it's just like sometimes you wonder, the people that are telling us all the things that we have to do, how trained are they? Are
Yeah.
they just watching this checklist and doing all the things? And so yeah, I get a little caught up in, I have gone through the process of going back to school. I'm not done. I don't know if I ever want to be,
Okay.
because I want to hold more of my wisdom and expertise in my experience of actually
Yeah.
working with them. And if I have to go off and do that and spend the money and time on that, I'm going to want, or would think I would need to gain a job that's going to take me further away from the children. Isn't that
Hmm.
interesting? The more money you make, the further away you get from the children themselves. And that's a
I've
little
never
sad.
thought of that, but it's so true.
Mhm.
Hmm. I don't
And I
like
don't like that.
that. Both of
Exactly.
us, I don't
Get a
like
Coke. You owe me
that.
a Coke.
Okay. We've gone all sorts of places with this conversation, which I've loved, but I want to bring it back to, if there's somebody out there who's new to play, what advice do you have for them?
Get online. Get online and check out people on social media. I'm really big about getting people to collaborate over compete with one another.
Yeah,
There's enough kids in the world. We don't need to compete over that, and you can only take so many kids anyway. So
exactly.
why don't we work together and figure out where children would fit best, rather
Yeah,
than trying to be king of the hill. So
absolutely.
being open to one another when we're in childcare, it's kind of an isolating, especially with family home. We don't have a lot of people that come into our place
Yeah,
other than the parents. So I know when I started, we didn't have social media. So I felt very isolated in what I did. So get
yeah.
online, find people that are doing this, start searching up hashtags, play based, child-led learning, just all those different kinds of things. Outdoor classrooms, forest
Yeah.
schools are awesome. I wish I could have a forest school. We're in an area near a forest, but it's miles away, and
Mm.
the insurance to drive somebody out there is cost too much. So,
Oh,
but that would be so much fun.
darn.
But I try to do as much as I can with what I have in our own backyard.
Absolutely.
So, but yeah, just network, get online, find people that inspire you and talk to you, because honestly, they will be more supporting to you than a lot of people in your own backyard. And then you
So
turn
true.
around and you apply it in your own backyard, and you help those people in your own communities and the providers within the area, and go from there.
So good. Where can people connect with you?
Online, they can find me, myself. I'm also on Facebook, and it's just Jennifer Lee Baumann. So I'm on there on Facebook. But my handle for my play school is Play School since 1999. I've been around since the eons, apparently. Uh, I had somebody come up to me and she says, "You need to change your stuff. You need to be the pioneer of play." And I'm like, "Oh, that would be awesome." But that's I hope that was a kudos to me, not a boy, lady, you need to retire.
Well,
So,
I
but yeah,
admire
online, I'm on TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, all the things. So,
Okay. Yes, go check her out. I love your videos. You are inspiring. And thank
thank
you for
you.
the work that you're doing in the early childhood industry and your advocacy for play. We need as many of us as we can get. So thank
Thank
you for
you.
being
Thank
here.
you
I
for
appreciate
helping train us. A lot of providers don't have that information. So it's people like you that get that out there and help
it.
us know what that is. So
Oh, you're welcome. You're
thank you
welcome.
so much.
All right.
Thanks for having
Bye bye,
me.
everyone.
Bye.
If you liked what you heard today, share this podcast with your coworkers, admin, or maybe even your partner. And I love getting 5-star reviews so more people can embrace play. Hit follow or subscribe so you never miss an episode. Or connect with me on Instagram or my website, KristenRBPeterson.com. Until next time.